Well, I can tell you it's an absolutely magnificent backdrop that we have got here as we broadcast you live from Hout Bay as the sun begins to rise here in the Western Cape as we take our election tour for 2016 around the country. This, of course, our final highlight show of the Western Cape and some of the issues that have been affecting the people here of the province. Now, we move away from where we are in Hout Bay and we go over to something that has garnered the name of the ostrich capital of the world, and I think you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, that's it, Oudtshoorn. Let's take a look at some of the issues affecting Oudtshoorn. It was heralded as this ostrich capital of the world, but it's an agricultural hub and, of course, a tourist and art lover destination of note. Now today, the town faces political instability, which, of course, has threatened to derail it. But government intervention in the form of an administrator is promising to restore hope for its around about 60,000 inhabitants.
To tear the town apart. The last municipal election saw the DA and COPE coalition wrest control from the ANC. But the ANC would not go quietly. What followed was years of court cases amounting to millions. The municipality faced allegations of corruption and maladministration, a threat by Eskom to cut off power, and the stalling of a multi-million rand housing project due to non-payment. Provincial and national government then stepped in and handed the reins over to Administrator Cam Chetty. Chetty and his team have been working hard to turn things around since August last year.
We had 160 million rand, which was a budget overrun, in addition, or a budget deficit, in addition about 310 million rands in debt. And that created this huge financial problem. In addition to that, we had the Kango Caves, which didn't have any operating budget. We had a municipality that took housing money and used it for operations, so we couldn't function. And serious problem was that we could only address the wastewater, in other words, the sewage, only 50% of the capacity of sewage.
A recent forensic investigation found cases of widespread fraud and corruption. Chetty's team is trying to dispose of more than 400 extra jobs, which added to the municipality's already inflated salary bill.
Starting from fraud to mismanagement and to corruption. So in those cases, what we've done is we have then started to send letters to staff, and where it is possible, we've moved staff or we have suspended staff. In terms of the regulations, and we're following this to the book, right? The municipal manager is conducting further investigations, and we will hold hearings in the future, disciplinary hearings with all of those staff. In addition, the provincial government is looking at the possibility of criminal charges and has spoken to the directors of public prosecution and the police about criminal charges.
Concerned residents are adamant that a leadership change is needed.
And if you are elected, you must stop with your politicking. You must serve the public. Every representative is then a representative of the whole public, no matter to which party I belong. I also think in Oudtshoorn, the workers, the administration get involved in politics. So there's a mixture of, they do not do their job, they get involved in political fighting, and that must also stop.
While the municipal finances are taking a U-turn, it's hoped that the local economy will also benefit.
I think what Oudtshoorn really need is for the provincial government and the national government to invest in Oudtshoorn. They must spend money, they must identify certain projects so that there can be a big work provider again that can provide work for, say, 1,500 people, so that they can create jobs. That's what we need. We are thankful for the art festival and for all the other role players, but we need that.
The administrator says Oudtshoorn has huge potential and there are multi-million rand investment projects in the pipeline. Segui Chetty, SABC News, Oudtshoorn in the Little Karoo.
Right, so that's Oudtshoorn and taking a look at some of the issues affecting that particular area. But let's come back now and talk more about housing here, because between fishing and housing, it seems like these are the two major issues that are really coming out of this broadcast today. So what's important is to talk about the housing, and with us here, and here on the program, we've got Bongi Nkosi Madikizela. He is the MEC for Human Settlements here in the Western Cape. MEC, thank you very much for joining us. It's good to have you on the program.
Thank you. Good morning, Leanne, and good morning to the viewers.
We've been speaking to a lot of the community leaders, community members. There are a lot of informal settlements around this area. How is the department addressing the poor housing situation in the Western Cape?
Well, the biggest problem that we have in the Western Cape, I think, same as Joburg as well, is the rate of population growth due to in-migration. So there are three things that we are doing in the Western Cape to deal with that particular problem. The first thing is, of course, to upgrade informal settlements, because the language that we've been using in the past was we were talking about eradicating informal settlements. Well, we have to realize that informal settlements are here to stay. So let us rather upgrade them, make sure that there are access roads so that when one shack burns down, not the entire community doesn't burn down. Let's put roads, let's put water, sanitation, etc. That's the first thing. The second thing is that we need to get our prioritization right. There are many people who have been waiting for 20 years. Now, you have a situation where people who have registered yesterday are getting houses before those people. Now, we are rectifying that. And the third thing, of course, is that we need to deal with the people who are earning too much to qualify for a free house, but too little to qualify for a bond. So those are three interventions that we are making as Department of Human Settlements in the Western Cape.
Seems like it's taking too long, though, because, we've got community members that are exceptionally disgruntled here. I mean, I know that there's, in fact, somebody who's actually just come down from one of the communities. He's here, and he's almost shouting at us for not giving us the airtime. But his concerns are very, very legitimate. So many promises were made, and here we are in 2016. I mean, in his exact words, 2010, all these promises were made after what we saw happening here in this area. 2016, they were worse off than what they were then. And what do you say to someone like that?
Leanne, it will take long, of course, because if you look at the available resources versus the demand, I mean, they are worlds apart. If I can just make an example, the budget for this Department of Human Settlements in the Western Cape is 2 billion rands. Now, for us to wipe out the entire backlog of more than 500,000 families, we need 80 billion rands, 80. So you can see the difference between 2 billion rands and 80 billion rands. And that is why, in terms of our strategic goals, is to really make sure that those people who have been waiting for years, they're at least waiting under better conditions. But the second challenge in this particular area is that we do not have enough land that can accommodate people who are living here. So the struggle between government and communities is the issue of where you take people, because people are comfortable where they are. When not everyone can be accommodated where they are, it becomes a struggle for you to relocate those people to another area.
Yeah. But there's also concerns and accusations leveled against you, saying that the land that is available is rather sold to developers that can go and build these beautiful houses and developments and shopping centres and magnificent houses which can go for millions and millions of rands, as opposed to accommodating the poor that have got nothing. I mean, what do you say for that? Because we can see it with our own eyes what's happening.
Leanne, we need to strike the balance here. I mean, Treasury has been telling us that we need to do more with less. You cannot use every piece of land to build houses. I mean, we need to be realistic here. The question is, how do you raise revenue so that you are able to cross-subsidize the poor people, as I said? I mean, I spoke about the backlog in terms of numbers. Let's look at the bulk infrastructure backlog in this province. You have more than 30 billion rands bulk infrastructure backlog in this province. Now, the MIG funding that municipalities get is nowhere near enough to bridge that gap. So you use the resources that you have to raise funds so that you are able to really cross-subsidize and bridge the gap between what you have and what you do not have. So that's what needs to be understood in the context of the challenges that you are facing as government.
let's leave it there for this morning. Talking to us here was the Western Cape MEC for Human Settlements, Bonginkosi Madikizela. Thanks so much for talking to us. All right, let's take a break here on the program. We're going to take, as I say, we're going to take a very quick break. We'll be with you after this. Stay tuned.